Hi, this is James Cooney. You're listening to Tank Sport Radio. It's like Talk Sport, but with the tank. Hi guys, and we're finally back with the first football debate show. Obviously, we've had in quite a while. This is obviously my first from a new location, which is down in Southampton. We're Hamwick Halls. We're student residence, obviously, for university, but I won't keep going on about myself. This is just basically a reminder the show is. So a couple of things to really touch upon tonight in terms of what's going on in the football world. In terms of, I've got obviously, as always, it's not a show without Tom Phipson.
Alright.
So he's going to give us a bit on Oxford, possibly a bit on Liverpool. I'll do a little bit on Rochdale, and we'll generally cover what's been going down in the past couple of weeks in terms of results and things like that. But obviously, no time like the present. I'll jump straight in there. We'll start off with Rochdale. Why the hell not? Don't usually. So, just to say, obviously Rochdale have now played 9 games in the league. We're a bit further on since last time I did the show. Things have improved significantly, let's say. Obviously, we're now 7th place. So that's much better than it was. But we do play the team ahead of us in Bradford City on tomorrow night, actually, Tuesday night. Yeah, so Bradford City, the guests at Scotland. So that should be an interesting game. But past couple of games, obviously Saturday, for example, we managed to beat first team to beat Gillingham away this season. So that was a credible 3 points. But then, off the back of last Tuesday, a good 3-2 win away in Rotherham. Again, another nice result, but not last Saturday, Saturday before that was a 2-2 draw at Scotland, which terrible refereeing consequences, costing us 3 points, but sitting pretty in 7th place with 4 wins, 3 draws and 2 losses is not bad at all. 14 scored, 12 conceded. Goal difference could be a lot better, but we're unbeaten in 4, which I can't really knock. So moving on to Bradford, that'll be a challenge, and then obviously after that, Accrington Stanley away. This is our biggest rivalry game of the season because of the lack of Bury or Oldham in League 2, but obviously we do play Bury coming up soon in the Johnson's Paint Trophy. We've got Bury in a game, so that should be an interesting affair. Whatever comes of it, should be good to watch. Sadly I won't be there, obviously now down in Southampton. I will mention though, I did go to watch Southampton versus Sheffield Wednesday in the Capital One Cup the last Tuesday. It resulted in a 2-0 win for Southampton. But I was queuing outside for about 40 minutes to get a ticket to get in, which means I missed 20 minutes of the game. That's how busy it was. But then when you get into the ground, there was only about 6,000 there or something. The attendance was much down from the Premier League. But Southampton's second string played some good stuff. A couple of debuts from youngsters. Overall, beat Sheffield Wednesday quite comfortably. Jay Rodriguez getting both goals. This is some former Northern Burnley player. But that's just to touch on that a little bit. I won't go into great detail because all I'm going to end up doing is talking if I do that. But yeah, as it stands, Rochdale 7th place in the league, just inside the playoffs, which is probably my aim for the season. Just about this position would be fantastic towards the end. But obviously we're only 9 games in. Anyway, without further ado, I believe looking on the opposite side, obviously Rochdale having a positive start. Well, saying that Oxford had a positive start, but they fell away. Tom, I believe you've got a little bit of a rant for us.
Well, yeah, it's a rant at basically everything to do connected with Oxford at the moment. Ever since Chris Wilder, the manager, for people who don't know, was linked with Coventry and Bury at one point. Ever since then, results have gone down the pan. Apart from a 1-0 win at Swindon, our results have looked. We had a 3-1 defeat at York. We had a 4-2 defeat at home to Exeter. 4-0, obviously I was there at Burton. 2-1 Tuesday night game at Cheltenham. 2-0 at home to Bradford. And then there on Saturday, 3-1 defeat to Rotherham at the New York Stadium. There's been a lot of support still from the fans. The support It's dwindling a bit. Obviously, you'd expect that after 6 on the bounce, 6 defeats on the bounce. But we haven't really we took quite a healthy crowd to Rotherham, and there's nothing to shout about. And then to make it worse, on Monday, obviously today, the chairman, Ian Lenigan, everyone wanted him to explain why 3 board members have resigned over the past few weeks. 2 of them citing that they find him impossible to work with and they don't like the direction the club's going under it. And he offered a support for Chris Wilder, saying he won't judge him until the current injury crisis, as he said, was completely gone. Every Oxford fan has a problem with this, considering there are only 2 major players really missing from the team. There's Dewberry, but there are doubts whether Dewberry will ever play again, so I don't really count him on this list. There's Pittman, who has been out for a couple of weeks now. Everyone wants him to get back as quickly as he can because they love Pittman, brilliant player. And Adam Chapman, who's the absolute rock in the centre of the field for us, along with usually Forster Cascade. And the fans are grown very tired of the way Chris Wilder plays. And the problem, this made everyone laugh. We usually play 4-3-3. That's how Wilder plays. When 4-3-3 wasn't working and he announced the team sheet on Saturday, he dropped Ryan Clark, the goalkeeper, who had only really conceded over the entire time absolute screamers. Like, Burton was basically a goal of the season match. And he brought in Wayne Brown, and it was half of Brown's decision to get into the team, because he's the coach at the moment. Brown basically cost us the game, so technically Wilder's decision cost us the game. And his decision was, instead of playing 4-3-3 like we used to do, everyone's crying for him to put 2 up front, and he changed it to a 3-4-3, which is not really what you need when you're conceding goals and not scoring. We made a positive start. We played some really good football in the first 20-25 minutes. We got the goal, which was brilliant. It was a well-worked corner straight off the training ground. And then Rotherham started getting back into it, and they hit the bar. And the moment they hit the bar, you could see it in the Oxford players. Their heads just dropped. And that seems to be the problem at the moment. We got away with it there, yet no one seemed to think like we still had the goal lead, but all the players just didn't look interested after they hit the bar. And then from there it was just a calamity, and obviously we ended up losing again. We've got Wimbledon tomorrow at home, and they're around us, so we should be hoping for a win there. And if we don't get a win against Wimbledon, the game after that is league leaders Gillingham at the Castle, so it doesn't get any easier.
Yep, that's basically what's been going down with Oxford. But why would you say you've just hit this bad form? What do you think caused it?
I honestly think it is everything to do with him being linked with Coventry. Because ever since that happened, before it happened, you can't say things were perfect. People still had the problem with the formation and the fact we didn't seem to create much. We were just taking our chances. But ever since he's been linked, we haven't really shown anything. I mean, against, who was it? I think it was Bradford at home. We had 4 shots all match at home, which is just not good enough. So it's just, I think it's to do with Coventry. But he's got to go now. He has to go.
Yeah, I think his time's possibly up. But are we too quick to sack managers on bad runs nowadays? I mean, I haven't personally seen Oxford play, so I won't be able to have an insight on this. You've been to a few of these games that you've lost in, but is it generally his time's up, or
Uh, there's another thing. You don't, if when your team's losing, you expect the manager to show a lot of passion. You expect to see him on the touchline, like literally on the edge of his box, just screaming out orders to players, telling everyone, putting everyone in their place. If someone's having a bad game, telling them. When the second goal went in for Rotherham, nearly every Oxford fan looked straight to Wilder to see what his reaction was. And Wilder not only was not looking at the pitch, but he was sitting down and he wasn't talking to anyone. He just did not look interested whatsoever. And quite frankly, if you're not going to show any passion, then what are you doing there, really? He's got no passion for the club. So it's just a question mark as to what the whole point of him being there is at the moment.
well, if he's not showing commitment, then his time really is up. But I will just correct myself from before, obviously, when I said there was about 6,000 at Southampton. That's me misjudging the crowd completely. There was 9,890 there, which is very poor for Southampton, but compared to the crowds I'm used to, that's ridiculously high. So that's what I think Alex for that.
It's only a couple of thousand more than what was at Rotherham.
Yeah, but what last game I went to, we got about 3,500 though. That was against Barnet.
Yeah, to be fair, the game before Rotherham I went to was at Burton, and that was 2,300. So.
Yeah. I'm thinking about whether I have the money going watching Southampton versus Fulham this Saturday. Should be an interesting game. Yeah, I know, it's be about 35 quid a ticket, I think, which is like more than double what I used to pay. But you gotta pay for the best, don't you? You gotta pay for Premier League.
I have one more point on Oxford.
Go.
It's just come to my head. We had two standout players on Saturday. Craddock was leading the line, Tom Craddock, really well. And Harry Worley, this is when we were 1-0 up. I think Worley got an injury, so I think that's why Worley went off. But Craddock went off, and everyone was shaking their head. No one could understand why he took off our two best players. I don't think anyone understood at the time that Worley was injured. I'm not sure if he is. But it just seemed the most stupidest decision that we've ever seen. The fact that these two players were playing out of their skin. Worley was getting in front of everything in defence. Everything that they threw at him, he was in the way. And then he goes off. I can't remember who he brought on, but we completely fell apart after the substitutions were made. It looked like we genuinely didn't have a formation anymore. People just seemed confused. No one knew who they were marking or what was going on.
I do rate Worley quite a lot. I think he's a very good player. But
he is a very, very good player, and it was coming back from injury, so let's hope he's not injured again.
Yeah, he can really make or break, make a difference for you this season. But yeah, like you've been saying, something needs to change. Whether that's this current injury crisis that's being billed, which I don't quite believe, I'm afraid, because I think we have a few players out, but nothing major. We're touch wood. We're lucky at the moment to not have a major injury. But I don't know. I think Rochdale always been and always will be the most inconsistent side you can watch. Because we'll lose and we'll drop points to the shitter teams, but we'll always nick something against the better teams in the division. And since I've been watching them, it's always been the way we've done it. We've always beaten your Gillinghams and then dropped points to your Dagenham and Redbridges. No offence to Dagenham and Redbridge, I just tout them as relegation candidates. I just feel they've not enough strength. ban it a brown breaded, ban it a down. But who's going to join them is the battle. 23rd is the fight.
If something doesn't change soon, I can see it being us. And that might sound bad, but we're bottom of the form table. We're not really showing anything, and that show of support from the owner to the manager today is another sign that Wilder's got a few games left and something needs to change.
Here we go. Can we hear that?
Yes, we can.
Shows we have some effect out there. Yep, there's some people that have clearly been listening. That shows I've got people listening. That's always a good thing. But yep, I did neglect to mention that a Dagenham and Redbridge fan does live down the hall from me.
Well, I hope we stay above him in the league. Let's just say that.
I've got a Dagenham, I've got a Southampton season ticket holder at the end, an Arsenal fan, a Dagenham and Redbridge fan, a Leicester fan, a Tottenham fan. Who else have I got? I think I've rattled off the main ones though. But yeah, that's some of the people of Hamwick Hall's on level 3. I should imagine that would have been Tom and Joe. Perry might not have been there. But yeah, anyway, moving on. A little bit of excitement. QPR also, there we are. Thank you. Ah yes, can't beat it. Right, moving on. Why don't we talk about Premier League for a little bit? So, Liverpool finally won a game, did they?
Yeah, and they actually played quite well. Obviously, I didn't get to see it because I was obviously watching Oxford get decimated. Suarez kind of just everything I've been saying about his goal scoring ability. Although just before he scored his second, which was basically gifted to him, he had that chance which he completely fluffed. But he made up for it. He got a hat trick. Can't really complain. I think it was just, from what I've seen, it was a good all-round performance. Not really any bad performances from any players. Reina seemed to have a solid game. And that's all I can really say on it.
Yeah. Suarez just loves bagging him in against Norwich, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, we should play them every week.
Norwich are a great side though. They've not got a lot of strength, I will say that.
I'm sure everyone would love to play Norwich every week. So.
Last season at least they offered a threat. This season under a manager I don't rate at all, they don't offer a lot.
No, I don't rate Houghton much. I rated him a lot at Birmingham. He pulled miracles at Birmingham. But obviously he left, went to Norwich and probably gets everything he deserves for leaving Birmingham.
Well, yeah. You've got to think though, it's the same with a player. You've got to try and get in the mind of them. When you're offered a promotion, you don't say no, usually. In everyday working life outside of football, if you're offered a promotion, you don't refuse it usually, do you?
I agree, but honestly, I don't know whether this is because I'm local to Birmingham or kind of local, but I don't see Norwich as much of a promotion over Birmingham. Really. Because, yes, Birmingham are a division below, but if you go on club stature, I'd still say Birmingham are one of the biggest clubs in the Championship. And I wouldn't say Norwich are an established Premier League team by any stretch of the imagination.
Hello!
So...
Somebody else jumping on there. But yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not. Basically, it reminds me of what Alan Nill did when he went from Bury to Scunthorpe. I mean, I loved it because I fucking hate the bucket, Scum. But he basically just went to Scunthorpe, which at the time were a struggling Championship team from Bury at the time, who were a Promotion Candidates League 2 team. And then all that happened is they both Scunthorpe went down and Bury went up. So he just ended up in the same division. It wasn't really a promotion. He's gone from a team that was playing well and doing some good stuff to a team doing shite, and then just met his old club.
Exactly.
But both are now struggling in League One. Bury is set to go down this season in my mind, but the appointment of, I'll give credit where it's due, the appointment of Kevin Blackwell was a good appointment. I can't fault that as a managerial.
I do rate him.
So I think they've performed quite a coup to get in. But I still think they're going to struggle with the squad strength they've got. I really, really do. I can see us beating them as well when we play them in the Paint Trophy. I can see that happening.
Well, I hope we beat Cheltenham. We could do something. But obviously, it's going back to Cheltenham way, and it's where we lost 2-1. So I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, true. But, right, so, we drifted off a little bit there. So, we touched upon Liverpool getting the 3 points. Again, I didn't see the game, but I'm just happy for Suarez to bag 3 for my fantasy team. We touched upon Oxford's form. We touched briefly upon why Wilder hasn't been sacked yet? Do we need to cover that?
All I can say is get Steve Keane in.
Yeah. That would get you into non-league in a heartbeat, I tell you. Not a big fan of Steve Keane myself. But there we are. We've got about 7 minutes left of this part of the show. So let's go to, I think I can get a guest for the second half as well. But let's, just before we go there, let's go and touch upon how divers and cheaters should be punished, i.e. what you'd do to punish people for things like handball persistently and like purposely and diving, etc., things like that. What's your take, Tom?
I don't think referees are really strict enough, because like giving someone a booking, right, fair enough, what I'm going to say might sound very harsh. Giving someone a booking for diving, it doesn't put them off. It just means they won't do it for the rest of that game. And then the next thing you know, they'll be straight back at it. But this would also help referees, what I'm saying. I think diving should be, or handballs, like if they're not noticed during the game, it should be a ban afterwards. But diving, in my opinion, if it's noticed, should be a red card and a 3-game ban. Now, the reason I say that is it'd put people off doing it, for a start. It'd mean like people would stay on their feet more, and it'd make it easier for referees, because then if someone genuinely does go down, maybe they have a reputation for diving in the past, like Suarez, but it makes it easier for, in a way, to tell whether that guy is diving or not. Because if they're scared of getting sent off, they're not going to keep doing it. So I just think it would make it easier for referees, and obviously it make cheaters punished.
Yeah, that's true. The thing is though, when you look at diving and you look at handball, it's not something that you can instantly say he's done that on purpose. Sometimes it's obvious as you like, but other times there's that little bit of leeway. So it's really the referee in question making the decision that has to make that call on what he believes, if it was not a dive, if he dived purposely, or if he's handled the ball purposely. It's not always a foregone conclusion. It would
kind of make it harder for a referee at one, in a way that, in a different sense, that it would obviously come down to judgment of whether has he gone down purposely with the intention of cheating. AKA, obviously Ashley Young has done a few times, Suarez has done it a few times, Hazard has started doing it.
Yep.
And, well, yeah, that's my point.
There we are.
That's unfortunate.
But how would you go about punishing it? Well, first of all, if you could make the right decision. Well, this next point really could lead into the next one, but we're not going to have time to touch upon it in this part, so I better save that the next part of the show. Because I was going to say, but really, how it should definitely carry a greater ban than, for example, this whole racial abuse thing, where John Terry's been banned for such and such games, and Suarez was banned for 8 games. It should carry a heavier ban than that. I mean, racism's wrong, don't get me wrong, it should be punished. But to punish someone for banning them for a longer period of games than if they purposely broke the rules of the sport is just idiocracy to me. It just does not make sense, it doesn't add up. It's like say, well, if you're doing something, you're playing the sport, you follow the rules, otherwise you're punished. But what I say to you, while we're playing that sport, is relevant. It's wrong and should be stamped out. But say I started abusing you for being a brummie while we were playing football. Why is that more punishable? Why is it carry a heftier ban than if I purposely broke the rule by handling the ball?
Exactly.
It's nonsense from the FA as always. Nonsensical. But in the next 2 minutes we've got, I might as well do a little bit of promotion and say, in the next part, I believe we're going to have a guest in, which is, many people will know him, obviously Ollie Flanagan. Quite famous now. This is about his 4th go on the show. Catching up to you nearly, Tom.
Yeah.
But there we are. He should be in the next part. Also, for anyone that may be listening for the first time, I also have a Facebook page, which is the hub of where you want to go if you want to find anything to do with the show. That'll set you up the right places. That's just simply Tanks Sports Radio. Tap that into Facebook and you'll be hooked up straight away. That'll then give you everything you need to know about the shows. Something I've not discussed because obviously I've not been on air for a while now. We did have a newspaper advert in the Daily Mail. Not this Saturday, Saturday previous to that. Well, last Saturday, shall I say. 2 Saturdays ago now. Anyone that may have saw that, that wants to get hold of me and let me know, because I want to see how far the reach was. I know that the page gained 1 fan, thanks to that, what do I call it? Thanks to that advert. But 1 fan's better than nothing, that's for sure. But yeah, in the last minute of this part, I will just basically wrap it up and go with the fact that obviously more people are trying to get in there. Obviously you can hear them. But part 2 will be with you very shortly, if not immediately. We'll give it about 5 minutes because I've got to go do some things. Tom, do you need 5 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
And Ollie said that he wants 5 minutes, but yeah, that's basically it for part 1 tonight. We've touched upon local teams, bit on Liverpool, bit on the diving, but there's more to discuss in the next part coming up very soon. So, as always, thanks to Tom for joining me, and thanks to anyone that may have been listening. Obviously, you make the show, guys. And girls, perhaps we have a girl for once. Cheerio. Hi guys, and we're back with part 2 of tonight's show. Obviously, I don't know, technical problems already, but we've got Ollie Flanagan with us. Many people know him from previous listeners. Ollie, you with us? So, this part, obviously you missed the first part because you wasn't here, but we basically just touched upon Oxford, Rochdale, Liverpool, and here's a question for you that obviously me and Tom have already answered. How should divers and cheaters be punished?
Oh, Christian, you sexy beast!
There we are, there's more background noise for us all. But how do you believe they should be punished?
Depending on the seriousness of the dive. So if it's in the 5th minute of the first half and it's by the halfway line, it should just be a yellow. But if it's in the 35th minute or even the 85th minute and it's in the area, it should be a red card in my opinion. If it's going to create, in any minute to be honest, if it's going to create a goal scoring opportunity like a penalty or a free kick, it should be a red card. That's my view on it anyway.
Well, yeah.
It's cheating basically, and I just don't like it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's breaking the rules of the game. But like I mentioned previously, why this one moves on nicely to the next point. Why does someone who is racially abusing another player get punished for longer than someone that's breaking the rules of the game, Ollie? What do you think about that? Why does that happen?
Because the FA want to set a good example, so they have the responsibility to not allow racism in the game, because that's wrong in anything. That's wrong. You can't do that. But diving, you can't even be racist down the cages when you're playing with your mate. Just having a kicker out. You can't be racist, but you can dive because there's not going to be any repercussions. But because they should be more firm on racism, because of that reason, they can't just give the same punishment for a dive but then for a racist, because they need to set a good example. And I know letting people come off with light punishment isn't the best example for divers, but it's far less I don't know the word, important than racism.
Well, I see what you mean to a degree, but if someone's purposely breaking the rules and laws of the game, you can police that. You should be able to punish them heavily for that. Whereas if someone's racially abusing someone, it's not something you can police as easy, which is perhaps why they're even tougher on it. Because
I'm not trying to say they shouldn't punish divers, and I'd say they should punish them. Let's use Suarez as an example, and I know I might get my head bitten off by some Liverpool fans because they, Arsenal players dive as well. But Suarez is a known diver, let's be honest. And he's done it. How many times has he been yellow carded this season? Has it been 3 times he's already been yellow carded for diving? Something like that anyway. He, after those 3 yellow cards, he should also get a match ban, because maybe more than a match ban, because getting 3 yellow cards and then just coming off of a yellow card, just those yellow cards, nothing else, does not set a good example, and we'll just say to him, carry on diving, because you'll just get a yellow card and nothing else will happen. But if he gets a ban for this may seem a bit of rash, but a 3-game ban for 3 yellow cards for diving, then that will show that's the right way to go around things.
Well, yeah, that would definitely go some way to sorting it out, but they don't seem likely to do such a thing at the moment, and I don't quite understand why, but maybe in the future I'll be the head of the FA and I can decide all this. Not right now.
Please do, because the FA's just getting on my nerves now.
In a lighter tone, do you want to give us the ins and outs of Arsenal recently?
The ins and outs? What do you mean by transfers?
Well, no, because the transfer market's closed. I mean, how have they been doing?
Well, apart from Saturday, we've been great this season. I think we've been really impressive. Cazorla is a godlike figure to me at the moment. And if some of you on the group saw, I met Cazorla, Szczesny, and Arteta and Wilshere in the week. Not bad, to be honest.
You were pretty lucky though.
Yeah, very lucky. But yeah, going back to how Arsenal are playing, I think we're playing good. Just, we've had a good start to the season, but I just don't know what happened on Saturday to make us go. Defense just turned crap again. Because watching the match on Saturday was like watching us at the start of last season. We couldn't really defend to save our lives. And why Wenger didn't go for Mertesacker in defence just confuses me, because he's been consistent against City, against Liverpool, against Stoke at Britannia, which is a very hard place to go. But no, he goes for Koscielny. Oh no, Mertesacker wasn't proven against City, my bad. But he goes for Koscielny, who had one good game, and in my opinion is one of the most inconsistent defenders in the league. One game, like against City, he can play absolutely amazing and pick up a great goal to snatch us a draw. But then against Chelsea, the two goals that we conceded, let's be honest, they were both his fault. The first one, he let Torres outmuscle him and wrap her leg around him to get a goal where he could have easily just stuck out a foot and cleared it. And for the second one, did he lose all ability in his legs or something? Because did he even I can't remember if he tried to get the ball. He just ran to it and then stuck out his leg about a centimetre. He stuck his leg out a centimetre trying to get the ball and just ended up turning it back into his own net. So I don't know what happened with Koscielny. We looked quite strong on the attack against Chelsea. We didn't look too bad. Jorginho picked up a goal as well. And more complaints about players is going to go to Giroud, because I do not know what he's doing. Don't get me wrong, he's a decent player, I think. He gets in good positions, but he's just lost his shooting boots. That chance in the 90th minute, I think he's left-footed. He should easily be able to finish those. For a striker who cost 12 million, he should just put those in the back of the net. But because for some reason he can't finish to save his life, apart from Coventry, which is an exception, but that's Coventry, let's be honest. I don't know what's happening with him. And I think in January we need to pick up a proven goal scorer, someone like Huntelaar, who scored in a few different leagues and has been consistent for Schalke, or someone like Falcao, which is very unlikely, but that's the type of player we need, someone who's a proven goal scorer. Giroud had one good season. Seen people like Huntelaar and Falcao score for 2 or 3 seasons or more. So we need to pick up a striker in January, or stop playing Jorginho up front. I know he scored, but he's not a striker, and play Podolski, who's a proven striker for Bayern, for Germany.
All true points. But will you pick up a striker is the biggest question you've got to ask yourselves. Because I'm not certain you will.
You don't need to be certain, you just know we won't.
It's an life of an Arsenal fan.
Wenger will do his normal thing and say, we might pick up one more player soon. Really bad French accent there, I apologise. And he won't, because I know we picked up Podolski, Giroud and Cazorla, who 2 of them were great buys, but he said, I think in a press conference a couple of days before the transfer deadline day, if something special comes up, we will buy him. Wasn't Afellay up there for a loan? He went to Schalke. He could have picked up anyone. Falcao wouldn't want to spend the rest of his career in a Europa League team. Easily got, well, not easily, his wages and their asking price would have been a bit of a stumble, but we could have got someone like him on the deadline day, but no. We bought Mongolian or something like that, a Macedonian goalkeeper from the 3rd division. Yep, that's a real special player. So that's exactly what's happened in January. We won't pick up anyone and we'll end up selling someone.
Yeah, because you have a certain transfer policy in the club and you don't pay over a certain amount on wages and you don't pay over a certain amount on transfer fee because of your owner and your board of directors. Excuse me. So that's usually why your talent slips through your hands, but you're stuck in a rut. You're not going anywhere fast, but you're just consistently going to finish 4th or sadly even lower. But you should be 4th this season.
But I'm not going to complain the whole way throughout. I think we're still up there with a shout for. This might sound a bit stupid, but I think we're still up there for a shout for the title since we managed to draw against the holders at their home stadium in a match that we dominated pretty much. And we didn't play that bad against Chelsea. Just we need a finishing touch, and then I think we could pick up a trophy. Not sure which one. It might even just be the Carling Cup, but a trophy's a trophy, and yeah, that's. I'm not going to be too negative. Stay positive. That's it.
Yeah, well, there we are. I'm not 100% sure, but is Tom with us?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, we bring back Tom though. Another point really, we touched upon a little bit, but this whole John Terry saga at the moment, what's your thoughts on that? Tom, I'll go straight to you, obviously, just come back.
Well, obviously being a fan of Liverpool and Suarez, I can't really say much. Whether he's guilty or not, obviously the FA thought he was, courts thought he wasn't. I think regardless of whether he did it or not or whatever, he should have faced the same punishment that Suarez faced. And I just think that would have been, that's just, if you're going to charge someone with the same thing that you charge someone else with, it makes sense that you give them the same punishment, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. It is completely understandable. It's curious to why they haven't done. But Ollie, what do you think about it?
The John Terry situation.
Yeah.
I think that if he's found innocent in the court of law, the FA have no need to press further charges because it's a court of law. It's just not just a committee at the Football Association. It's to do with the police, judges and stuff like that. And if he's proven guilty there, no one can undermine that decision. So he's one of our England's strongest centre-backs, and to lose him is a bit of a issue. And I doubt the FA really wanted that, but it's their fault. And I've not much to say other than that really, but I don't understand if he was so caught on footage of being racist towards Anton Ferdinand, but there's no video proof or anything of Suarez being racist to Evra, how can Terry only get 4 games and then Suarez get 8? It's a bit stupid, to be honest.
I'm not 100% on this, but didn't Suarez admit to it, but John Terry hasn't admitted to it?
Suarez was told to admit to it by the owners, just to get it over and done with.
Okay.
But if Suarez admitted to it, surely they'll be less harsh on him because he came out and said he did it, other than Terry, who we don't know if he actually was or not holding it in.
I'm not saying he did it judged on the video evidence, but the video evidence definitely looked... My one query was, if he didn't say it, why do they keep blurring it out every time they show it? That's what I don't get, because every time you see it on Sky Sports or something, it's blurred out what he says. And if he hasn't said it, surely there's no need to blur it out.
Interesting, I'm not too sure about that. But here's another question for you. Is racism like that is it commonplace in the court of law? Should it be decided in a court of law whether someone has racially abused somebody else?
In my opinion, no. But in my opinion, it's a very strong opinion. I think that it's just pathetic, the whole idea that someone can get offended by a name. And I can understand getting offended, but I can't understand feeling the need to get that offended that you're trying to make another person suffer for it. It just screams inferiority if you're letting something like that get to you, in my opinion.
I'm not going to get offended if someone calls me a Milky Bar.
Exactly.
If someone calls me a
Snowman.
Something white, basically. So I just couldn't think of anything. A pillow, a white pillow. If someone called me that, I'm on my bed now. Just looked over and I was a white pillow.
You white pillow. What the fuck?
What else is there that's white? I can't think of anything.
Snowman's a common one.
If someone calls me, I'm not going to take it to heart, am I? But I think I'm going to get very in depth here, quite historical as well. But I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Just don't take this to heart, anyone. If you're a black person listening to this, I don't understand if we don't get offended if we get called Milky Bars, why they get offended so much if they get called a dairy milk or something. I just don't understand it. And I'm not trying to be racist. Don't judge me on it, but I'm just saying I don't get why they're getting so touchy about it when
in my experience, this is being truthful, I tend to find that, obviously I live in Wolverhampton, it's a very multicultural area. I tend to find that it's more white people trying to defend them that get offended by it. Like, I can have a joke with my mates and they don't get offended by it, but if someone heard me say it or heard them say it to me, it'll be like, oh, why are they saying that? You're not allowed to say that, and all this kind of stuff. That's the thing that causes the problem, which I've always found. And it's just the PC brigade, what I found.
Yeah. I'm not trying. It might be a bit controversial here, but they might resort, like, if they're getting offended by us calling them whatever, they will resort back to the slavery and stuff like that. But did that really affect them? If they're an English black person, did that affect them personally? So I don't think... I'm not trying to sound rude here to Alfie, but when Alfie went back on his dyslexia in an argument with Matthew, that's like them going back on the slavery just doesn't make sense to me, and that might be you guys will disagree, but
that is what I meant by screams inferiority.
Oh right.
When I said that.
Okay.
But yeah, we love a bit of
Controversial.
yeah, we love a bit of controversy. Right, but there we are. That's your take. So obviously, I don't think it should be part. It's not a court case. It should be civil court, not court of law, without doubt. And the FA have to carry out their own independent investigation, but the decision just looks weak if they're giving the opposite decision to the official court rule. It just makes the whole thing look weak. But there we are. They're the times that we live in. Moving on. I'll have a quick review of the midweek games. Obviously, starting off tonight, there's QPR West Ham. Ollie, which way do you see that game going? Tonight's game, QPR West Ham.
If QPR can use their squad's potential and ability, they will win. But they can't seem to be doing that at the moment. He's starting Sean Wright-Phillips, and if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't scored in the QPR shirt yet. Yet Mark Hughes carries on playing him over someone like Junior Hoylett, who's scored non-stop for Blackburn last year, and I think he's picked up a couple this season. He's not starting him against I think both teams, one of their most important matches of the season, because they're both relegation threatened teams. So I think they should both be starting their strongest sides. So to see Mark Hughes starting Sean Wright-Phillips is a bit.
You would be right in saying he hasn't scored in the league, but he scored once in his entire QPR career. He scored in the League Cup this year.
So why is he playing him? I don't think he's got hardly any assists either. It's like it's Mark Hughes trying to pace abuse like on FIFA. That's it really. Because Sean Wright-Phillips has no other qualities apart from pace. Did I say Mark Hughes has no other qualities?
Yeah.
I meant Sean Wright-Phillips.
The manager shouldn't really have pace at the age that he is now.
Well, neither. I don't think Mark Hughes has got very good managerial skills either.
He just doesn't work well when given money. That's all it is. He just doesn't work well when given money. He's similar to David Moyes in the fact that if he has a very strict budget, he's fantastic. But when you give him money, he has no clue what to do with it.
David Moyes has had a bit of money this season, and look what he's doing with Everton.
Yeah, but he's still on a strict budget. If you gave David Moyes a QPR or Man City budget, God knows what he'd do. He'd be like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, true.
But that's just because of the nature of the clubs they've worked at.
So, yeah, I'm going for a QPR win if they use their squad's ability. Otherwise, the West Ham win.
Score? Any score prediction on that?
I think both sides have goals in them, with people like Carlton Cole and Carroll on West Ham and Cisse and Zamora for QPR. So I think I might go for even a draw, 2-2 or maybe a 2-1. But I don't know which side that will go to. It depends who actually ups their game for the match, because I think they're both really even sides.
That's true. Tom, what about you then?
Honestly, I reckon it'll be a 0-0.
Sitting on the fence.
I don't fancy either team in this. I do think QPR are a lot stronger this year. Obviously, they had the money. They've brought in like Stefan and Villa, Julio Cesar, obviously, like Park, Granero from Real Madrid. I mean, they got players like Hoylett on the bench. They should really be doing much better than where they are. for the players they've got. Looking at West Ham's team, they're not really going for it, to be honest. Carl up front on his own. Obviously, Nolan will probably play behind him. I'm going to go 0-0.
Fair enough. I'm going 2-1 West Ham. West Ham have proved that they're the stronger team so far this season. QPR haven't quite found the right foundation and formation. I'm going to go with West Ham to nick it, Kevin Nolan to score, because he can't stop scoring, it seems, at the moment. That's my take on tonight's game. Moving on to tomorrow, we've got a whole host of games, including Champions League, Championship, League 1 and League 2. So I will very quickly, if we can, run through Champions League. Spartak Moscow versus Celtic. Tom, how do you see it going?
I'm going to go Spartak Moscow.
Ollie?
2.
Spartak Moscow as well.
Tom, what's your score?
2-1.
And Ollie, score?
2-0.
Borisov versus Bayern Munich. Ollie?
6-0.
I'm going to assume you mean 6-0 to Bayern.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Tom?
This is my Football Manager team, Bait, so I'll go for a 1-0 win to Bait.
If I'm not mistaken, I know that Bait did cause whoever the other team is in that group problems. I think it was Lille, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
the
wasn't
last
it
game.
3-1?
Yeah, I think it was. So, they've got potential, but Bayern Munich are a very strong team. Anyway, moving on, Benfica versus Barcelona. Tom?
3-0 Barca.
Ollie?
3-1 Barca.
Well played. Next up, Cluj versus Man United. Ollie? Tom, go
2-2.
first. 2-2. Ollie?
3-1 to United.
2-2 is an interesting call. Next up, Nordirland versus Chelsea. Ollie?
Chelsea 3-0.
3-0. Interesting. Tom?
5-0
5-0
to
Chelsea.
Chelsea. Yeah.
Galatasaray versus Braga. Tom?
1-1.
Ollie?
2-0 to Galatasaray.
Interesting call. Probably the right one though. Juventus versus Shakhtar Donetsk. Tom?
2-1 to Juve.
And Ollie?
Juve v who, sorry?
Shakhtar Donetsk of Ukraine.
I like Shakhtar. I don't mind them, but I think Juventus will get like a 2-0 win or something.
Finally, Valencia versus Lille. Ollie?
2-2.
And Tom?
Yeah, I'd say 2-2 sounds about right.
Fair enough. In the last 30 seconds, I'll just quickly run through. Spartak Moscow versus Celtic is going to be 2-1 Spartak Moscow. Bayern Munich versus Bait is going to be 2-0 to Bayern. Benfica Barcelona 3-1 to Barca. Cluj United 1-0 United. Nordirland Chelsea 3-0 Chelsea. Galatasaray Braga 2-0 Galatasaray. Juventus Shakhtar 2-0 Juventus. But that's all we've got time for, so thanks for listening.